Hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network, episode 121. This is the episode where we're back kind of to normal, but you might hear I sound terrible, and that's because I got really sick traveling, coming back. It's quite the journey, but today we're going to kind of recap what we learned and our experience working with Ableton. What a coincidence. Uses Ableton once it gets sick. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm just kidding, but we're gonna recap. We're gonna recap Ableton. What we did when we were together in Switzerland, we did 3 different videos of live looping with Ableton, and I have never used Ableton for creating music. I've used it for live performances years ago, but it was really interesting. But we're gonna talk our takeaways, especially in the sense that we were working together, which is at least for Kh3rtis and I and Eonlake and Lars. You can attest if it's the same, but we don't typically work with other people like in the same room as musicians, especially with the genres we typically work with. My name is Sunwarper, and with me today is, let's see, who do I want to start with? Let's start with our patron, Lars. How are you, my friend?
I am fantastic, and I'm totally not lying about that.
That's good. Somebody needs to be, man.
Genuinely.
It's not masking.
Yeah, what you been up to, man? It's been a minute since I've caught up with you.
Man, life has been fun. I've been busy with everything that I don't want to be busy with lately. However, I have managed to get my submission for our fun little secret sample project we have kicking off next week. And next week, I'm actually going to be in Tennessee, out in the Smoky Mountains. So
nice.
I might be getting to join you guys from a lovely log cabin out there in the mountains.
Yes.
Right.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's great to have you with us, and I appreciate you coming on early to help carry this episode because it's a bit rough right now here. But Eonlake is also with us. He was unable to join us in person last week, but we did have a guitar stand-in. But how are you, Eonlake?
Yeah, I can't profess to be as enigmatic as last week's Eonlake, but I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I am.
We missed you, man. What you been up to?
What have I been up to? I've been revisiting old music, trying to export stems and realizing that I never recorded half the sounds. Sorry, smiling errors, if you're listening. I am getting there. I've nearly reconstructed it.
There you go.
Stems. But the upside of that is my drums are midied up at the moment, so anything I'm working on now is going to get a load more drums on it, which is never a bad thing, right? We all know this. More drums equals better, so that's good.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's good to hear. Always happy to have you with us, and also with us today, not in person, unfortunately, but Kh3rtis. How are you?
Good. I feel like I'm slightly more upbeat than yourself.
I think so. I think anyone is probably slightly more upbeat. Dude, jet lag and the sickness, not pleasant. I'm not saying it because you get all these crazy things when you say it on YouTube, but yeah. But what you been up to, man? So did you drive straight from Switzerland, or did you stop in a few places?
I stopped in a few places in southern Germany on the way back. After the beautiful vistas of Switzerland, to come back through to the lowlands of southern Germany where it was wet was less fun. But it was nice. It was an adventure. Did some more swimming in lakes and did some more kind of rough wild camping. Been in it. We were in campsite when we came to see you, right? And this was more wild camping, so just kind of pulling up in the middle of nowhere and just getting in the back of the van. Great. I love it. But yeah, I got back on same day as you. I got back on Sunday night, Monday morning, I believe. Yeah. Since then, I was part of a compilation before I left. I signed up to a compilation before I left, and I was just finishing off that track. And now it's been a case of you can't see off camera, but over there is all the unpacking I haven't done yet. It's probably gonna be there for another couple of weeks before I actually attempt to do anything. So yeah.
Oh man.
It's fine. It's all good. So yeah, that's what's going on with me. Lots of live stuff. I haven't gone back into the studio yet. I've got a wedding on Saturday. I'm playing bass for, so I've been living it up.
Some empty desk there. I've never seen empty desk before. Look at that. There's a wood.
Yeah, there's wood here. I put my DJ decks here, or I have recently, but my DJ decks are being used for this wedding on Saturday.
Tell you what's normally
So
there. Monologue's normally there. Launchpad's
I'm
normally
not,
there.
well, Launchpad is now over in the sketch station, along with the launch control. The monologue is actually here, just off camera. It's here, and I've got the push 2 here. This is a space for gear, which I can't get yet. So,
Oh, right. Is that where the MOOGs go in, is it?
well, if I could afford that, that's what we'd be doing.
And what else?
One more time.
The 404 as well. What else is going there? Push 3.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I would. I mean, yes, I'm going to get the SP. I decided that. Then we're having a look at this labyrinth. And again, if I had €400, we'll see. But maybe that's how we get into it. Unless some of you got anything to share before we get into it today.
Hold on, let me see if I can show you.
Oh,
The studio is
lot of nothing.
completely empty.
It's all bare there.
I have to do a rebuild, and yeah, it's not happening right now. Let's put it that way. Yeah, it's not. It's just not. But it was Switzerland was really fun. I'm looking forward to talking about the Ableton stuff, especially because Mike's here. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. But no, it was a journey this last week, and yeah, I'm sorry if I'm a bit low energy, or if Mike just doesn't like American pronunciations of things. But we don't all live in the same country. We do pronounce things differently in different places. But however you want to call it is cool. It's all good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to rebuilding this. I'm just debating if I want to change things or rebuild it the exact same, because I really liked how it was. But it's a rare opportunity where it's like, what is it, tabula rasa or whatever, like a blank slate. So I'm like, do I want to change things or just keep it the same? So I don't know.
Question is, has the existing rig does it cease to serve you any longer?
Yeah. Been the same.
No, but I mean, a lot of due to getting this iPad, which is what I'm using right now to talk, a lot of what I can do can be like portable and condensed down. So it's almost like it's like I've now got like 2 completely different setups, like this super tiny one that can just fit right here on the desk, or I can do this massive one. So yeah, I don't know.
So we've all 3 of us done the same thing here. I have my play tray over there that's got my mini mixer and and a couple of whatever I'm playing with this week. It's got a 303 and a subharmonicon on it at the moment, and some effects pedals. And Kh3rtis has got his sketch station, is it?
Sketch station, yeah.
And now you've got your little mini setup as well. So I've got studio and quick and dirty, and you've all got the same, really.
Yeah, my MIDI mountain is the big one, and I'm like, I really like it, but I don't know. It also depends, because a lot of times when I'm doing stuff now that requires the DAW stuff, it's like voted on by the subscribers. So a lot of times they want to see Koala and the SP, and that's the iPad and the SP, so I can just put it right on the desk. So I'm like, but I mean, I'm gonna rebuild it. I'm not gonna sell the gear because I really like that DAW setup. So we just have to see. Mike says he's got a fumble quarter.
Oh, now that sounds a little fruity. That does, but I like it.
Yeah, real quick, I'm gonna just quickly go say hello to everybody in the chat, and then let's talk some synths, because we've all got synths that we've kind of put away, but there's some new gear that's looking pretty enticing. But first, I want to say hello to Smiling Eris. How are you? Little Bro is in the chat. We've already talked with Mike, but Mike is there. How are you? One of our patrons. Lars is that's Audionautic, but Lars is in the chat, but also here.
There he is.
I am
Let
here.
me see who else we've got. I think that's about it right now. Oh, Survey Channel is here. What's going on, Survey Channel? Happy to have you. So
okay.
I'm navigating all this on the iPad, and it's like far. So if I miss anybody, I apologize. I'm trying to check, but I think that's everybody. I'm sure more will be coming in, and we'll say hello. But let us know what you've been up to. It's been a while since we've caught up full, but yeah. And Little Bro says, I forgot Smiling Ears. No, I shared him first. He had the flex emoji. But yeah, Curtis, you've got the Moog and brought it to the table. So you want to start with the Moog?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna bring the website first, and I've got a small little sound demo thing for people to see. Um, but I'm bringing this here because that is just an amazing thing. If I share the screen here, you can see. Um, this is the Moog Labyrinth. I'm going to bring my notes over here so everyone can see. This is a beautiful little table box, as you can see. I mean, it's Moog, isn't it? Just amazing. Say one more time. No, never mind. Okay.
What?
This is
Carry on, Curtis.
someone.
Just go on.
This is a semi-modular analog synth. It combines elements of East Coast or subtracted synthesis and West Coast. You can get it. It retails at $599 or €699. Two oscillators, one sine wave and one triangle wave, with 0 frequency modulation capabilities, including a ring modulator and a noise generator. Parallel in the sense that the signal path splits into a voltage controlled wavefolder with bias control and a voltage control state with low pass and band pass. Basically, the distinguishing aspects of this is it's a parallel signal path, which it can be used, a wavefolder and filter can be used to sequentially or in parallel create sound sculpting circuits within it in its own right, in its own deed. The idea is it can fit inside of the Euro rack if that's what you wanted. There's a couple of holes in Eonlake's rack over there, so maybe that's something. Go on over there.
Just about the right size, actually.
It looks like it, doesn't it? Excuse me. Now I'm losing my voice.
Oh no.
So yeah,
oh no.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
One of the lovely things about this, and maybe this is something that Mike can get behind, that it does have generative capabilities. It has a generative sequencer inside, which means it can differentiate itself from other semi-modular synths in its own regard. Beautiful little box. I do have a little video here with some sound demoing. Do you want to see that?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Let's take that. So come here. So this is from Tom Ann, so I'll just play this from the beginning.
What is up, Fixer here, and the other day I received an interesting...
I mean, he looks great, but that's not a sound demo. Give me a sec here.
The balance between the various overtones created by the...
I like the waveform there, seeing it.
Same goes for the second oscillator, only that this is a triangle and not a sine wave. And it is also affected by the wave folding. And the last sound source is a noise, which sounds surprisingly aggressive.
Even to him.
No matter what tone you dial in. Maybe now let's get a sequence going. There are some parallels to the way...
I'm going to skip to a different part. We probably don't want to play too much more for copyright.
That's totally fair. So yeah, beautiful little box. Just as summer comes in, when everyone's going off on holiday and spending their money on flights, you can cancel that family holiday and you can buy this instead. Right?
Yeah.
That's a bad idea for me.
You may not live to see it arrive, but
I got it.
Yeah. So, Curtis, what do you think about this?
I mean, another box that I want and can't afford. I would love it. I really would.
What was the price again? Sorry.
€699 or $599. Which is, I mean, it's not cheap to say the least. It's not an Oberheim, but it's it's not a Novation. Or putting that, I'm not saying Novation are cheap, but yeah, they are on the lower end of the spectrum in that regard. But yeah, it looks like a really nice box, and it looks like it can do a lot of things. if you are that way inclined, and the idea of semi-modular and getting into that kind of thing, it looks like a really nice box. Wouldn't call it an entry-level box for sure, but it does look exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Also, really quickly before we hear from Lars and Eonlake, I want to say hello to our patron Asef Strike in the chat. How's it going? Good to
Hey,
see you. He says,
man.
"Hey everyone." Yeah.
Hey.
And Mike says, "I could do all of that using drift." That doesn't surprise me that he will never find, or he will always sing the praises of drift wherever. But Mike, do you have
Right,
any?
though.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, no, I'm
Drift
not. I'm
is
not.
awesome. I use
It's
that
true. I
a
mean,
lot.
there's a lot you can do with these plugins and stuff. But Mike, do you have any hardware? I'm curious if you do. I know push, but like synthesizers or anything like that, or do you just find that you can do everything you need in Ableton? But yeah, like I mean, you love
Hmm.
synths and modular, and you buy synths. Well, I don't know
I
if you
like
bought much
Moog as
frequently
well.
besides the
Yeah.
hand pan, I suppose. But
Hmm.
what do you think of this?
Well, I think it's a good addition. If you exclude the DFAM,
Yeah,
Moog have got this reputation for analog signal paths and fat sound and all the rest of it, and it's well deserved. I can certainly testify to that. But I suppose what they don't need is yet another, monosynth, analog waveforms, thick sound. I mean, they've produced a lot of those, and is this another one of those workshop things that's been turned into a production item? Because they often come through that. The Mavis came through that sort of path, but this seems to be pretty filthy in many regards. The wave folding is a very different thing for them.
yeah,
I guess this is why they've given you a couple of simple waveforms, and the idea being that you can fold them to get more complex oscillator shapes and so on. And it sounds a bit fruity to my ears. I like it. I like the dirtiness. So it's kind of, I mean, with the triangle wave, you could get some horrific sub out of that anyway. But I mean, with the wave folding as well, you can get some real sort of scratchy, sort of growling, really with the resonant filter as well, some really sort of howling tones out of it, which kind of appeal to me a little bit like the Lyra with a lot of overdrive on. So I like the idea of it. I'd like to hear a little bit more about what you can do with sequencing with it.
yeah,
Because I've heard people demonstrating the oscillators, the filter, and sweeping the filters and so on. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of what I'd respect. The wave folding sounds like a wave folder, basically. It sounds a
yeah.
lot like some of the Eurorack ones that do similar things. But as with all of their products, it's usually a marriage of all of the things that they've decided to include and how they can interact that actually make it what it is and give it a bit of character. And I'd be interested to see the effects you can introduce with sequencing in that thing. But I'm keen. I'm not keen on the price. I never am. But it is what it is, I guess. I mean, they're not any more expensive or any less expensive than the rest of their product range. It's to be expected. It's
I had
whether or
heard something that Moog had moved production to China recently. Because remember, they got bought out,
some of
right?
that.
I'm not
And
confused. It was like In Music or something like
they
that
shut
bought
the
them out.
store in Asheville, but I think the factory's still running, but they've shut the store in Asheville, which is a
Oh,
shame.
okay. I'm gonna Google it because I'm just curious. Because if it is, I mean, you would think they would. They're moving. Here, hold on. September 24th, 2023. If this is accurate, it says it sounds from reports above like they're moving production to Taiwan rather than mainland China. I don't know if that's true, but
Mm.
yeah, interesting. Really quickly, I want to hear from Lars on it, but let me just run through a couple bits of chat. Sorry, it's my iPad is way up here, so it's hard to get to it all. But I asked Mike about if he uses any hardware, and he said sequencers mostly. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know from everything you say, I think you can get everything you need from all of the synths in Ableton, which I think is really cool. And if you have I'm curious, do you have any controllers beyond sequencers? Like, well, you got push, I think, right? I'm pretty sure he's got push because
He's a push
I,
3
Great.
user.
yeah, that's right. Because I do find like, even if I'm in just the DAW, I love having some sort of tactile response, like moving knobs or something like, um, yeah, like you can do that with the Digitact. you can program the CC to control things, and yeah, we've also got, where is it? Little Bro said, where is it? May I share my music with you guys? And yes, that is what I think it's Share My Music Discord channel is for. You don't need to make any announcements or anything like that. Just post it in there. There's a works in progress, which is if you're not done with the song and want feedback, or there's the share. I think it's Share My Music. I have no idea at the moment, but there's one that shares something, and I think it's Share My Music. That's if you've got stuff out, like properly released, or the works in progress is probably where you want to go, because I think somewhere they say, where is it? Haven't published it yet. So that would be the works in progress. So yeah, just, you don't need to get permission. That's what it's for. That's what our Discord's for. Together we grow is what we always say. And let me see. Mike says, I bought Push 3 standalone. Oh yeah, see, I would love to get that standalone. That's what, well, we'll talk when we go to Ableton, but that's what I was telling Kh3rtis when we were playing together. And there was something.
What was that?
What's that? I'm not getting it. I have no budget for it. But if somebody wants to donate one, I'll be happy to use it.
Right. Yeah.
But one day, I would really like to have it, and we'll talk about why in the next segment. Because Mike also was saying that, here it is. I think this is very interesting and kind of where I'm at. But Lars, I'm sorry, we'll get to you in a second. Mike says, as a standalone box, this looks interesting, but I'm increasingly moving away from hardware. Well, I'm not moving away from hardware. I think I'm personally trying to just get what I need or make the most of what I already have. And I mean, this thing looks cool, but nothing in it is enough to justify like the price for me or having it. And I know it's a size thing, but me personally, I like having a keyboard. So, I mean, that's just a me thing, but that's where I'm at. Little Bro has a question we can talk about in a bit, maybe, if there's time. I wonder how you found the name of Audionautic. You want some lore, it sounds like. Let's see if there's any other chats. Ace of Stripe says, definitely moving away from more myself. Yeah, Ace of Stripe has a very interesting journey with you. Ace of, yeah, if you want to share kind of where you're at with it, because I know we've talked with you about the DAW setup and stuff before, please feel free. Pat Brady says, some of those, I think that's Max for Live, correct me if I'm wrong, sequencers are dope. And yeah, I think that's everybody. Lars, what do you think about this?
So Moog is like super iconic when it comes to synths, right? Like, and I feel it's cool, right? Like it looks like a cool product, but it feels like, I feel like Moog's been running out of ideas and they're just kind of they're just playing the hits over and over again, just repackaging hits. That said, like it looks, well built and really cool, but it's just like, also, what am I going to do with it? That would be like the only piece of like modular hardware I have. And I keep wanting, I have to ask Eonlake about this. Like, bro, is it worth it? I keep looking at like modular synth setups and I'm just like, oh, I could just start spending my money on this. And then I feel like I'm going to be like a whole second mortgage deep eventually.
Yeah, that's that's definitely
the thing with a DAW, right? Like to Mike's kind of point or whatever. It's like, I mean, Ableton is kind of costly, and if you get the standalone push, it's rather costly. But all the synths that are in there, and then all the free plugins you can get. We love free plugins. It's nice, and if you have something like Push or what Kh3rtis has, which is, God, I'm blanking, the Novation launch pad, or the other one with the, what's the other one you have with all the knobs and stuff that I was playing with?
Launch control.
There we go. Yeah, it's like that. That is a nice kind of hybrid middle ground, or get a little gear and then MIDI sync it.
As far as is it worth it, I think you have to draw the line where it suits you. For me, I had some real favorite synths that were plugins that I lost access to because of operating system versions and upgrades, software buyouts, all sorts of stuff. It's always changing. You've always got to keep upgrading. Then you've got to start chucking your machine away every few years and getting a new one that can run the new OS and the new plugin version and so on. So I like to have some hardware things that will still be synthesizers in 20 years when I've been through a million upgrades on my computers and whatnot, and things have come and gone and all the rest of it. I don't like being entirely dependent on software for that reason, that it just, it feels very temporary. It feels like renting software almost because of the hardware and software requirements.
No, that's a very fair point.
Dedicated. And again,
there's
a dedicated thing is limited in its own sense. Software gives you so much more, and it's so much more accessible. It has total recall. You know, clearly they're both really good in some ways, but there's a line to be drawn, and hardware is damn expensive. You can get a lot more for your money in software. So,
of course,
there's a devil's advocate to both, for sure.
Yeah,
what were you going to say, Lars? And then I've got a question for you guys, and we'll move to Ableton. Go ahead, Lars.
Like, on the subject of software, I remember when I first started making music, it was all 32-bit systems. So I had just like a ton of different like synth and effect plugins, and then I had to upgrade, which is funny because I still have that 32-bit laptop that I started making music on. Like, I never threw it away. All the plugins are still there, but I can't get them to work on my current computer. So it's almost like I had to start all over again with software once they went to 64-bit. I had some ones I really, really liked in there that were free.
It's annoying. Isn't it?
Yeah. No, I hear you. But I have a question for you guys, and I just want a quick fire answer, because this is something I find, and I'm curious if I'm alone in this and crazy, or if you're like this, but I feel like I write very differently with a real synth or real hardware compared to when I'm working in the DAW. And Lars, I want to start with you, because you're really exploring a lot of those like goodwill finds lately and stuff. So I'm curious what your take is. And you the other reason I want to start with you is you write very diverse genres of music. So I'm curious to hear your take on that. And then we'll just real quick, because we got to move over. But I want to hear from you, Chase.
It's weird because like using hardware, like, so when I'm working in the box, I feel a lot more like I'm trying to like write an actual song. Like, I'm looking, like, I have visual feedback for like the structure of the song, you know, I can arrange patterns and all that stuff. When I'm working with anything hardware though, I don't have that like visual feedback. Like, I'm trying to keep all of the patterns and stuff together, like in my head, rather than have any visual feedback. So I feel like when I'm writing anything, when I'm messing around on anything hardware, it tends to be a little bit more like free form than normal. But I also feel severely limited with hardware, which is kind of fun at the same time. Like, I picked up that Casio keyboard a little while ago, and it's just like every piece of nostalgia in me is just thriving with that thing. It sounds so perfectly cheesy in the 80s, and it's weird because like there are plugins that like emulate that, but I don't feel like there's anything that like accurately gets that like cheesy Casio sound.
Yeah. Oh, Kh3rtis, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a similar vein, if I'm on a piece of hardware, if I'm on this guy, for example, it's very much more about feeling, I think. And I think when I come to software, it's a lot clinical and it's a lot more, like I say, because of the tactile response, it's a little bit more kind of overthought in that process. So, like, I tend to do 2 sessions of production, right? So I'll write on audio, and then I'll produce using software, because the audio is what gives it the feeling and the creativity, and then I just kind of go for it gung-ho. And then when I'm building the structure and stuff, that's when I'll bring in software and MIDI instruments. And that's a double explorative, because then it's like I might use a new synthesizer or a new plugin or something like that I haven't really used before, and then that becomes a different form of exploration. If everything I do is exploration, I get the sounds in, and then I kind of flesh it out with the MIDI side of things.
Yeah. And Eonlake?
Yeah, exactly. I find my mind works differently. I write music differently on software, on controllers, controlling software, on hardware, and on little groove boxes, and on mobile phone and iPad and things like that. All of them, I think, give me a different way of thinking about music and make me come up with different things. And that's why I have them. Yeah, I like the variety. I like being able to switch from one thing to another and try and keep things a bit fresh like that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool.
Well,
that's good to hear.
And vice versa, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. So I'm not crazy. I mean, I am, I guess, but, not in this regard. Not in this regard. And really quickly, we had a chat from MX Drew saying that I may have the wrong mic selected. I know I talked about it in the chat, but if you're watching this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, first of all, leave a rating. We've gotten quite a few lately, and it really helps a ton, and it means a lot. But yeah, I have no studio at the moment. I don't know if you can see, but there's like no gear. I just got back from Europe and I have what's it called? I don't want to say it, but I'm really sick, and so I have the air on because of the fever, and I think the microphone setting is coming through the headphones. So I'm sorry if it sounds really tinny or something. I tried to set it in StreamYard, which is what we use, but they don't have many options, and supposedly the noise reduction is set, but I think it's more of a noise suppressor, so when I don't talk, it's quiet, but when I talk and it's over the threshold, it's catching that ring. So I apologize. I'll try to throw it through something before I upload to Spotify and stuff, but we'll see. Mike also says, totally agree that different tools change up the creative process. Definitely. And let's see. There were a couple other chats. Oh yeah, I really like the one. Let me find it from Pat. Pat said, "Yeah, Ace of Stripe, you need to pop onto the stream to explain yourself." That's a challenge. Maybe in another time if Asaph wants to come on and talk about it. But speaking of gear and changing perspectives and things like that, shall we switch over to? Well, actually, Kh3rtis, you need to go through the community corner first, correct? That would have been such a good segue, though.
They would have been. Well, if you want, we'll do it, and then we'll go to the community corner at the end.
All right, let's do
You're
it.
so you're so happy to get into.
Dude, I feel terrible. So having this little ray of sunshine of a perfect segue would have been nice. But yeah, speaking of changing perspectives, let's talk Ableton. Now, Kh3rtis, I don't know, were you able to get any photos of us jamming for proof of using Ableton and that I wasn't struck by lightning or something?
I've got a couple of things here. Let me present what I've got. For some reason, I click the button and Discord comes up. Give me a sec. So yeah, we got here. So for those who don't know, I'll say it really quickly because most people know. I feel Sunwarper and I actually both ended up traveling to Switzerland last week, and we actually met for the first time, and we made some music together. And as you can see here, there's video proof
There
that
it
actually
is.
happened. There it is. And
weird.
And proof that I have legs, because Kh3rtis didn't believe it.
In the same room.
No.
Yeah, I know, in the same room with Ableton going, and I was able to play guitar, which was nice, because I had something I know.
Exactly. So this is kind of how we kind of set it up in a way, and I've got some others which I can click up at in a bit as we're talking about this. But yeah, essentially all this gear that you see around here right now, we got the launch control, the launch pad, we got this little 32 key situation here, little interface, and then a little laptop. Basically, the essence of the sketch station, which is over there. I essentially packed it all up in a van and drove, and we met up with the guitar, and Sunwarper grabbed the guitar, and before you know it, we are looping and consistently looping for ages and forever. So yeah, and Sunwarper, you had a bit of a revelation. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Well, I like live looping. I'm not muted, right? No, okay, yeah. I like live looping, and it was really nice to see that it can be done so quickly. But I think more to the point was the collaborative process of it, of having another person and ideas. And it was funny because we were really struggling because Kh3rtis's guitar is in C standard, not drop C, because I'm usually playing in D standard, which is drop C, but he's in C standard, so it was completely different notes on the fretboard than what I'm used to. So we're trying to communicate, and I'm like, I'm playing D major, and then I'm like, no, wait, that's not D major, that would be C major or something, and we're like trying to go, but I mean, in one sense, it kind of worked out because then on the keyboard and stuff like that, a lot of what we were doing wasn't just C major or C minor, so it was like easy to translate to the keys, but when trying to discuss what we were playing, it was like, wait, what are we doing? So yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, no, I really liked the ease of it. Now, granted, I didn't do much on the Ableton side. I was sticking largely with like the guitar and the keyboard, and then moving the knobs on. I think you called it the launch controller, right? Whatever it was. The one right in front of me is what I was kind of sticking with. But I really liked just the efficiency of it because we would just kind of start, you know, and we did 3 songs in, I want to say 3 hours, and one of them was a live improv that we didn't even like rehearse. We didn't live loop. We literally like just made it, looping it like while filming, just like let it go. And what I really liked about the looper compared to, well, the SP's looper is very bare bones and primitive. But I think what was so cool is the fact that once you record it, we could quantize it. We could like move the loop around. There's a lot of cleanliness to it, whatever you want to call it. But I really like that aspect of it. And I think I don't think I'd always write in that method, but I think when making like we did what I think a synthwave track, a trip hop track, and an ambient track. And I think when doing a lot of those, it was really cool to have. Kh3rtis, anything you want to add, or is there anything you want me to go into more?
Well, I just to echo what you're saying, like I can't. I mean, I put it in our notes. Why would you use anything else in that regard? And I think that
That
it's
I disagree with,
that
but
I think for the process by what we were doing, I think it worked really well in that regard. I
yeah,
think obviously there's. I know I use Ableton quite extensively, and you've dabbled with it for a live setting, that kind of thing. But I think what was really nice about it was how seamless it was. Like the it was very simple to use. It's very easy to use. I didn't really have to tell you where things went or where things go or how to do this. Right, you kind of just figured it out on your own. Now, obviously, you're an intelligent human being, but also it allows you just to not have that notion of where the hell am I doing this? Where do I put that? Where do I put this? What is that? What is everything?
yeah,
I showed you what channels go where, and it kind of the rest kind of explained itself, and that was
yeah,
really nice. I think as well from the technical part of it is the dual function or the bipolar nature of Ableton. You hit record in arrangement view and you hit it in session view, and not only do we capture the little twiddles and everything else that we make before we go in for a loop, but then it creates that loop for you. And so we got the project files of the original things that we've written, and we're going to go and produce that, and it's going to be part of a release that we're going to work on moving forward. But also we have those live situations coming through where it's literally, you've got all the bum notes and you've got all the little twiddles here and the smacks and
hmm
everything, and that's what's really nice about it. You've got a hard historicity of everything we've made together, which for me is beautiful.
yeah, definitely. I think that I mean more to it. Like I think beyond just using Ableton and how easy it made it to just start looping and stuff, I think another big thing is just being able to work together. That was
Mm.
the best part for me. And like I think Ableton made it really easy in that way because you were able to just kind of like I didn't know what I was doing with Ableton. You showed me a couple things just to get started, but you really handled the Ableton and then I was just kind of doing like the guitar and some mixing while live. But it was nice to be able to have that kind of dual structure where you could handle the looping because I had no idea what I was doing, and then I could just like mix while you're doing that. You could do the stuff on the launch pad and stuff like that. So yeah. And Mike says, sorry, you're meaning the looper device, right? I don't know. I'm assuming yes, Kh3rtis, but you no. Okay.
It's talking
Well,
about
you were using
like
Push,
session view,
right? Or not Push.
essentially.
Yeah. We're using that. What is it? Session View.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were using Session View, and I think another thing we should talk about is the fact that, and if anyone's familiar with Kh3rtis's, if you're familiar with Kh3rtis's live streams, he has all these templates set up where there's synths on each channel or drum on this channel and things like that, and he was able to make one that was kind of adjusted for everything he brought with him to this thing, and then that really made the difference, having this template that we could just kind of like start with. And so I think that's a key thing. And Ian, like, I don't know, do you have any templates like that when you're working, or are you largely in the, what is it, arrangement view? You're muted, just, there you go.
I use templates, but I have a few different ones. And I write on two different computers, so I have different ones for that reason as well. And every now and then I like to change them up a bit to make sure that I focus on things that I haven't used for a while and try and change the sound palette a bit. Because another thing Kh3rtis does in between releases is he tends to do a little bit of sound exploration and finding, what the tone of the next thing's going to be like. And I've gotten more and more into doing that myself and thinking about what kind of elements I want to combine and then kind of building a template based on that. And ever since Ableton introduced an actual proper folder for templates, so you can have multiples and just double click on them and up it comes. I've started using them more. And it's a good way of, deliberately pushing yourself in certain directions, and also having a whole setup ready to go. Just hit some notes in on whatever sound you want. So big thumb from me.
Yeah, definitely. And Mike actually mentioned something that I don't know if we were doing this, Curtis, but this would be huge because I can do this on the SP as barbaric as its looper is. But Mike says so in session view, using push, you can set the loop length in advance, so you can arm the track, arm the clip, and specify to loop up to 8 bars. Because I remember we got a little wonky with some of the loops there that we were, because I think you were arming them by hand, like starting it and doing it. But on the other hand, I kind of liked that it was capturing that live. Like, just you hit it. I didn't have to think about like, oh, we're gonna start now or something. Like, you just were like, okay. While I was playing, he just hit it and it looped it until he wanted to stop it or whatever. So yeah, I like that, but that's a good point. I'm not sure you were doing that, Curtis. Maybe I don't think so.
No, the fixed stuff, the fixed looping is something I've never really bothered with, and that's mainly coming from the fact that I used to use the RC300, and it would make my life a lot easier if you did have fixed loops. I also really like when loops are a bit wonky, and when you've got like a 5-bar loop over a 3-bar loop, for example. I quite like that, and I enjoy that. Like, I wrote on the way back in Germany, I wrote a song where there's a 2.5-bar loop over, I think, a 6.25 loop, and the entire premise is these two guitars, and the whole song is wait for them to match up. Pure minimalism, i.e., what's his name? I can't remember his name. Philip Glass, like pure minimalism. And the song itself is just like, it's 6 minutes long, but it never is the same. And I really enjoy that, and I really get a kick out of that. Yes, for what we were doing, probably having fixed loops would be a lot easier, especially for the synthwave track. But I love it. I can't get away
But
from
I mean,
it.
you can always fix it, right? Like, you can
You can.
always fix in post, especially the MIDI loops we were doing. But even the guitar, you could quantize later and stuff like that, right? Or no?
You can change your loop lengths at any point as well. I mean, you
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
You can record too much and loop as much as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really like that until Mike says unquantized loops are very ambient. Yeah, I mean, I think we were going for that more wonky sound and things like that. So I think it worked in that way, Curtis. I mean, yeah, maybe the synthwave track would have been a little cleaner. And honestly, it was such a blur because I don't even remember like the stuff we wrote. We just kept going, and I really liked that. We were just in the flow and catching the moments as they were, and then just moved on to the next track. And what we did was, I think for the first one, we recorded some of our sound design. Like, we opened a template, and then we did some sound design. And I actually worked with, was it Analog? Was that the synth that I made a patch with that was like this noise and sine wave, but I had the LFO set to, I think, the filter, so it would kind of do gentle opening, and then I did some drift on the other, pitch drift on the other one. And it was interesting doing Ableton sound design because I'm not used to the like little horizontal, like all the plugins right there. But yeah, and I think we filmed that one, and then the other ones we did the sound design before we hit record on the video. But yeah, it was fun doing it like real quick and just kind of like, well, we want to do this genre, so let's make these tracks, and then we'll just move on. Yeah.
Sorry, that was Steve.
Oh, I thought that was a ghost or something.
I don't know what happened. He just opened the door and ran in, but it's okay. I'll do it in a second. I'll get it back in a sec. So I missed completely what you were saying in the last couple of words of what your sentence was, but I will say that
I'm gonna tell you, I have no idea what I said.
He did seem to like take to it pretty easily, and it was a very nice tool. Lars, have you dabbled with Ableton much, or are you sticking with what you got?
Okay, so I used Ableton for like 2 months. When I switched from FL Studio, I got a copy of Ableton, and I could not figure it out. I could not get the results I wanted. I'm sure if I went back to it now, I would probably be able to figure it out, but I'm too far down the rabbit hole of a machine now.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I hear you, man. I really want to try the Logic Looper. it's nowhere near as capable, I think, as Ableton's, but they have that kind of like session view. I tried it a couple years ago and it just was terrible. But I'm using Logic for iPad. I got a free month to test it on this one. So I'm curious if it's any different on the iPad. You know?
I don't know. I've come to the conclusion I'm gonna have to just suck it up and get an iPad now. Like, you guys keep doing all this cool stuff with it. Like, you started using the koala sampler first, and I was like, okay, maybe you need to get an iPad. And then
or phone, iPhone. That's also on Android, but I've heard there's some issues on Android with Koala.
I do have an iPhone. It's just the screen is like this big, man. Like, you just sit here and stare at it like for hours. iPad's not too bad though, because considerably bigger size screen. I'm
digging the iPad Air, this M2 one. It's pretty cool. I really don't like that all it has is one USB-C port. That's the kind of annoying part.
Oh, that's no bueno.
Yeah, no aux input, like not just one C input. So I have right now, because I was trying to do the microphone, I don't know if it'll show, but I have like one of those, it's not going to show on the camera, but like a adapter that has a bunch of USB-C ports, and it actually works, but the microphone stuff was being weird. So, and Little Bro says, have any of you tried GarageBand? Yeah, I use it a lot, especially for sound design when sampling into the SP404. I did that on a couple of live streams on my YouTube channel. If you want to check those, they're the most recent ones with the iPad Air. But I like using GarageBand. It's just very, very basic. And so now I'm checking out the Logic for iPad, and it is a lot. It's pretty much just Logic on your iPad, but because it's touchscreen and the screen is small, it's very, very cumbersome and like weird to use. And I think I just haven't learned it all yet, but like you can't just like load. I haven't figured out yet how to get like an external synth into it. And GarageBand is really easy, whereas in Logic there's like when you want to load a patch, I think there's a better way to do it, but it opens up like this library and all that. So I'm still figuring it all out, and I had all of maybe 20 minutes to use it while on that trip. I thought I was going to have more time, but traveling with a 10-month-old. So when I say that I haven't figured it out, I mean I had literally 10 or 20 minutes, and I was just like, I need synth sounds, and then I'm going to make something. But it was pretty easy to use, and then there's some really cool iOS apps. I was able to get third-party plugins on things. I just couldn't get like a third-party synth like the MOOG Model D and stuff like that. But yeah, we're going to check out a couple of really cool, I think it's, what is it, AUS plugins or AUS plugins that we got sent. Ryan from Sketch Audio came in our Discord, and I think we're going to have an interview with him about like as a kind of, because we always approach plugins and effects from the creator, but I want to hear from the developer about this kind of stuff. So we're going to have him on, I think, in a couple weeks if it all works out. So if you have any questions about like iOS apps for music or just like developing synths and things like that, one of the ones that they sent us, Dr. Vibe, it's like a noise. This would be right up Lars's alley, but it's like a noise and vinyl and a tape emulation plugin, and that thing has presets that emulate the 303, the SP303, and the SP202, and man, sounds good.
What was that?
I threw it. It's called Dr. Vibe.
Dr. Vibe.
Sketch Audio, and there's a couple. He sent me 3, and I'm forgetting the names of the other 2, but yeah.
Is it just
and I think Little Bro asked something about Ableton Note earlier, and I can't find it. I apologize, Little Bro, but I wanted to get it and use it when we were playing live together, going back to Ableton a little bit, but we just had to, like, we got started late that day, and we just had to start, so I didn't get to use it, but yeah, I've
been using that a lot lately.
Have you?
I've rediscovered it, and the ease, just if you really like a sketch you've done, you just save it to a cloud, and it just appears on your laptop when you open it up. Go to the cloud folder, and there it is. Open it up and carry on. It's very convenient in that way.
And does it work? I forget. Does it work as a controller, or is it like Ableton on your phone?
It's like a light version on your phone, but a kind of a light version. It's using stock plugins and effects that can be replicated immediately once you get on your big laptop.
And okay, so you can then move it. Okay. Yeah. And MX Drew says
save to a cloud and sync.
Yeah.
Your 3
That's
slots.
the cool thing with Logic too, is that you can just move them between, because it's all on the cloud, so you can just kind of like move it right over, like start in Logic on your iPad, like I did. I made like 4 or 5 songs or ideas, just like 1 bar, 4-bar loops. Then you can move it into proper Logic and then like add in all the synths and all that kind of stuff. I had MX Drew's coming up. I'm gonna put it back up. I started out with Magic's Music Maker. I don't actually know what that is. If you care to share more about it, is
That's
that
not
an
the old PlayStation thing, is it?
Oh, is that? I've heard. I wanted to see those. I've seen some of that, like the drum and bass with PlayStation and stuff. We had a couple more Mike recommended Sampler and Borderlands as iPad apps. When I was doing the Paul Stretch and a couple other apps for sending into the SP404 on a live stream, a bunch of the chat kept recommending Borderlands. I got to check that out. Yeah, I definitely need to check that out. But that's what I like about. Yeah, MX3 says it was on PlayStation. Yes, that's awesome. But yeah, that what I really like about the iPad is all these really cool effects. And then if you have, I mean, you could just use it in the DAW, sure, but it was really cool to move it into like an SP or the Digitact and kind of just create all these sounds. Like one thing I did, because I'm not the best at playing on the screen, right? For the piano when you're playing in like Logic or GarageBand, I recorded the piano part using the keys on the screen and then quantized it and then just sent that loop, fixed into the SP and then was able to chop it from there. And I really like when we talk about sound design, like Paul Stretch and stuff like that. It's just amazing if you're sample flipping to get these crazy drones and things like that. Yeah. But we've gone quite a ways away from Ableton. Eonlake kind of brought it back with Note. I think that's something I might need to check out. I know it sounds like blasphemy, but that probably is something I should check out. But Kh3rtis, anything you want to add about our experience?
I mean, there's so much, and we've only got the rest of the show to do. I mean, there's a lot more. I'm sure we'll come back to it over the time, but it was really good. It was amazing synergy. I think was a great way of doing it, and to kind of devolve it away from uh, just the hardware side of things. It was. I mean, we've worked together for a few years now, and then just to walk into the room, both happen to be wearing the same t-shirt and shorts, and
Literally gray shorts, green shirt.
Synergy.
it was great. The synergy, and it just flowed, didn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Immediately started talking business, and then just kind of got down to it, and it was great fun.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I know we're talking about our experience with Ableton, but like you're saying, I do want to bring up, like, there's something special about playing with another person in the same room, making music, and when it really clicks, and you're just like, what was crazy? Hold on, Eon Lake, I see you. I'll get to you. You don't have to keep your hand held. You're welcome to keep your hand up because it's funny to me, but but I'll get to you. But I think what was really cool though is just having that second set of ears and second like brain, so to speak, because we could just really vibe off of each other. Like I was like, I just started playing a guitar chord progression, and he was like, oh, okay, what notes are you playing? And I'm like, well, fuck, I gotta figure out what stupid chords these are because you're in C standard. But then we figured it out, and then we just started building drones, and like, I still can't believe how much Kh3rtis got in like just a few. You had what? 2 backpacks and a guitar case, and he had all this stuff
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the backpacks was all just camera stuff, all this stuff. And so I was just like, wow, he brought so much, and it was just awesome to kind of have that like band experience again. Because the way we make music is pretty isolationist. We're in a room typically and just playing with a bunch of gear. And so it was really cool that we had some gear and ideas and things like that, and we could just vibe off of each other and be like, whoa, what was that you just played? Yeah, loop that, okay. And then I'll do this, and then like with the guitar stuff, I would mute the guitar, like I'd lower the volume and then just improv, and he'd be like, "That's good. Turn the volume up," and he'd just loop it, and then I'd shut it off, and then he'd make something else, and then he'd be like, "Oh, that's perfect. Like let's loop that one," and then we could turn them on and off, and all that. So now what I'm curious to see is where we go from here, because we've got 3 looped ideas, and one of them we're gonna keep as a live version, but also chop it up to create like a studio version. And then the other 2, I think we're just going to kind of keep probably as like as the loops and just build. But it's going to be interesting to see. We've got like the looping is the fun part, the building the track. The production is the like, okay, where do we structure it? How do we build the structure? And let me just read a couple comments. Mike says, Sunwarper, surely with all the gear you bought, you have a light version of Live kicking around somewhere. I don't think so. I also have zero budget to buy Ableton at the moment. But if anybody wants to help in the donations fund, the Ableton fund, let me know. But yeah, it's not for me at the moment. Yeah, let's see.
Light versions are given away with hardware sometimes.
I don't think I have any hard. I might, but I probably don't have the boxes anymore and stuff with all the moving and stuff like that. But I'll try to look when I feel better. But I don't think so. I had Live 9 when I was in 2020. I was playing Live and I was using that, and I think it was 9, or I don't know. Mike probably knows the exact dates of each one, so he can correct me. But I think it was 9. Might have been 10. Mike also says, I had a moment playing with a human and figured out that I could turn down one of the tracks to leave space for the other person to play a line. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's those moments, and I just feel like when you're alone, you may not think of that because your brain is in full creative work. Like it's just like on overdrive trying to manage all of this stuff. When you have another person there or something, you can kind of take a breather because it's like, oh, he or she or whomever is like doing this part. Like I can breathe, and then you'll be like, wait, why don't I take this part down, like Mike was saying, or something like that. And I mean, we talked like collabs are a great way to do it across the world. Like Kh3rtis and I work all the time, and Eonlake, both actually all three of you, we all collabed with the remix album, and like that. I don't know if you guys had that kind of experience too. Yeah, like I can't remember. Have you done remixes before? Or was that the first one?
No, I've done a few.
Yeah,
I
okay.
love remixes because it gets you off to it. It's like when you're learning to ride a bike and someone gives you a shove and they push you too hard and you're like, whoa, we're off. And I kind of like that. But
I still don't know how you turn that 2-minute guitar ambient track into a 9-minute colossal banger.
It was an accident.
That makes it even better. Real quick, then I want to hear from Lars, but Mike says, I'm going to Ableton HQ in August. I'll pick you up a copy and a push 3. I would love you forever if you do that. Oh, yeah, Ian, like you had your hand raised. Sorry, my brain is...
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, they say that the benefits of working in a duo are that the other one can pick up the slack if you're not feeling it, and that there's this there are other random inspiration ideas coming in externally, so that there's not such a demand on you to go, right, be creative, do something, and that you're able to, make use of this. Did you find that to be the case? And it sounds like you did.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to hear from Lars, but he's a little preoccupied at the moment. Kh3rtis, anything? Oh, wait. Yeah, I know he's got 1 minute. No problem, Lars. It's okay. I understand. It's okay. You got to take care of that. It's all right. Kh3rtis, anything you want to add, or we can shift to Community Corner? And real quick, chat, if you have any questions about our Ableton experience or, our takeaways or anything like that, go ahead and put them in the chat or put them in the comments after. But go ahead, Kh3rtis, anything you want to add?
No, it's. I echo what you guys are saying in regards to having someone else in the room there. Bouncing off of each other is a good way of doing it, and I think it also pushes you as well. Like I think as well as the picking up the slack or letting it go, so to speak, there's also this notion of, oh, this person works a bit differently to me, and I've got to work with that. So, for example, you're coming in with borrowed chords, and you're coming in with modals, and you're coming in with weird fingerings and stuff like that, and I've just got to work around it. I don't do that traditionally in my stuff. I just don't go down that route.
That was the other
And
interesting
so,
part, our very different approaches.
well, exactly, yeah, and it's nice to see firstly how they dovetail, and then also how you can elevate your own processes by working with someone else's kind of here, have some of that, if that makes sense. And it's really good in that regard. And there's a feeding off someone else's creative energy, which is really nice, and it's really, I don't think you can replicate. Obviously, in this day and age, we are collaborating over the seas and we're collaborating over the internet and stuff like that, and that's fantastic, and it's a great way of doing it. there's also something to be said for example, like the likes of Tosca or Air or 07 or Daft Punk or I'm running out of names now, or Orbital, for example. You've got these people in a room together just making a mess, and they Sleaford Mods, for example, they have a fantastic connection and they have a fantastic way about seeing the world, and I think that stems from, at least in part, from the fact that you spend a lot of time with another human being vulnerable and being creative, and I don't think you can really replicate that.
Sorry, I was mid-cough there. I agree wholeheartedly. Lars, are you able to quickly share anything you want to add? Or okay,
I am here. When it comes to collaboration, like I haven't really gotten to do a whole lot of collaboration, and for me, it's almost kind of like that. It's almost kind of like asking someone out, but not like asking someone out. It's just like hey, collab, bro. Nah. Oh. No. But I was thinking, if you guys were looking for another like server challenge at some point, you guys could just kind of like play like classroom teacher and just be like, all right, I'm gonna put you guys in groups or in pairs.
Yeah.
And
1, 2.
I love it, dude. Yeah, I think we've got a list of ideas. I think we have a list of ideas, and if you do have suggestions, let me check. I have no idea what channels we have, but just if you do have suggestions for that, hold on.
Nominate.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. We'll make a.
I'd like to hear what happens if you take that guy and that guy, or
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Throw it in the server challenge. So it's server challenge secret sample is the channel right now. So throw it in there. We've got a few ideas, and little bro, the one that you posted in the chat, we actually have that one written down. If I read it right, I apologize. My brain is not all there today. But I think what you were saying was like we all keep creating the same track and like elaborating on it and stuff, and we have kind of that idea. I think we discussed it when we were figuring out the secret sample. Like we voted on a couple different ones. I think that one's already on the list.
Remix Centipede.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Remixipede.
Classic horror.
Yeah, Remixipede. That's the one. So we've got Remixipede as one of them. But speaking of all of these community things and things like that, Kh3rtis, bring us to the community corner.
Well, there's a lot coming from the community corner this week. One top of the list for this week is the fact that yes, our Discord challenge, there is only 1 week left. There you go. Thank you for that. Secret sample. There's only 1 week left. A few people have submitted, as some people are working on them. I think.
Yeah, just really quick. Do not submit them publicly because that kind of defeats the purpose. So send them to Kh3rtis or to myself on Discord as a message. I want to say Lars sent me it, but man, I was like delirious, so I have no idea. Yeah, he's here. At least I think he's here, unless I'm that fever dreamed or whatever. But yeah, I think Lars sent it. I think we've gotten a couple more. I know like Levi said he's working on it. I got to work on mine. That's what I might do on my live stream. But anyways, yeah, don't post them publicly. DM them because that will defeat the purpose. Carry on, Kh3rtis. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We have 1 week to go. Next week, an hour before ADSN, we will be going live in the Discord where we will, as a community, that's the whole point of this, as a community, we'll go through them and we'll listen to them and we'll offer comments and we will just enjoy each other's creative endeavors, I think is the best way of putting it. It's a very safe space. It's a very positive space. It's not a critique. It's not a commentary on mixing or anything. It's purely coming from a space of, oh, that was dope, and this is why.
And I mean, we may offer constructive, like, oh, you could do this or that, but it's all in the name of growth, and like we don't make a perfect thing. So we like Eonlake had great tips for one of mine because I did not get to finish. I think it was the first one, that ambient one that I did. He doesn't even remember, but that's how little he thinks of me, I guess. How rude. I think of him all day, every day. No,
it's how much I've thought of you since then.
There you go. Good save, my friend. But yeah, it's not meant to, like, if you only have a 4-bar loop, if you only have a quick sample flip or something, like, just share it. It's all just in the name of good fun. We just want to hang out and listen to some cool stuff together. And yeah, That's it. So come DM us first, and then I think what we're gonna do. But if you guys think differently, just post it in that Discord channel. But I think we'll listen to the remix first, or the sample flip, and then we'll listen to the original sample and say who it was, so that it's kind of like, because even the person that did
Anticipation is killing me.
yeah, I know, yeah, I know. I know, but it'll be. I think that's the best way, in my opinion, because it's like maybe even the person that made the original sample won't notice it's theirs. Depending on how like Smiling Airs is probably going like all granular or something. So yeah, but I do really quickly want to say I appreciate the seamless transition alert and slick with the transition. Curtis, what else is going on in the community corner?
Well, just to say one thing about the show is the fact that this show is brought to us by our patrons. Lars is a patron. He's been sitting here for the show. Usually patrons come up halfway through the show, but this week we were like, sod it, Lars, come in for a bit.
I needed some
and
assistance.
But yeah, it's always fun getting Lars on the channel. But yes, we don't accept sponsorships. We don't have advertising or anything like that, and we are loyally and continuously supported by our patrons. So thank you ever so much. This is coming to you from the end of the show. We've been going on for an hour this week. Your contributions allow us to keep doing this on a consistent basis. As we grow, more overheads happen. There is the side of this, and we were talking about this last week when we were in person. As we grow and as we get bigger, there are more overheads that are involved in this, and so it's your guys' patronage which allows us to keep going. It's the Bandcamp as that grows, that costs more money, StreamYard, and all the stuff that we have in the back scenes to create the content to allow this to keep growing. So thank you ever so much. If you are a patron, or if you want to be a patron, head across to patreon.com/audionautic and make a pledge. It starts as little as $2 per month. But if you are Audionaut producer, which is $7 a month, not only do you get to come on the show, like Lars is here, for example, and other bits and bobs and early access and all this stuff, you will also, and this is involved in our last piece of segment for the week, and I feel a little bit odd doing this myself, but it is what it is. You'll also have download codes.
You want me to do it?
Go ahead, bro.
Okay, I'm happy to do it. So I know what you mean. So if you are the Audionautic producer, you get download codes and early access for releases by Curtis and myself on the Audionautic Records label. Every other release on the Audionautic Records, you get early access as to listen to it and all that stuff. But good old Curtis here, and man, I totally blanked on the date, but I'm glad he reminded me. But he's got a new release out today. So Audionautic producers, go to patreon.com/audionautic to grab your download code for it. And you can head to, I think it's bandcamp.com/Kh3rtis, right?
It's Kh3rtis.bandcamp.com/.
That's it. Yeah, man. I got the Patreon. Again, I've got a fever, so I have it, and it's not just for more cowbell. It's I can't think right now. So yeah, but I think, do you have it loaded up? I'll put the screen up.
I have it here. Yeah. So
yeah, there we go.
This is.
Yeah, and he's even got a new header. Look at that, in a cave. The Platonic Kh3rtis.
I couldn't sleep last night, and this is what came out of it.
Which was it the anxiety or the nerves with the excitement of a new release?
No, I think, to be honest, my circadian rhythm's all off because we've been in Switzerland and I'm just all over the place. Yeah.
If you want to talk having your circadian rhythm off, I didn't sleep for like 3 days straight, man, and I have this crap going on.
I don't know, it really hit you. But yeah,
I wake up at like 1 a.m. and I'm like, woo!
What's going on? Exactly.
Switzerland affected you guys so bad. They're neutral.
That's good. That's good, Lars.
I like that. But yeah, no, this popped up, and Intervoidal 2 is dark, and it's a darker tone, and it has darker themes. And I've had the very psychedelic, very trippy ape, which will make a return. There's big ideas for that, but this is dark, and this is off the cuff. So yeah, I thought, revamping it a little bit for this release is there. We're going to be talking about it more next week, so I don't want to put too much on it now. But this is out there. I'll put a link in the YouTube so people can see it. But yeah, if you like progressive electronica, which this is what it is really, it's progressive electronica, go have a listen. You might enjoy it.
What is it? Maybe at the dive bar at the end of the universe, or what was?
Sonic stories from that dive bar at the edge of the universe. Yeah,
There it is.
exactly.
Still missed that. Gone too
Exactly.
soon, man.
I've put it back now. I have put
Oh,
it back.
nice. Okay.
I have put it back.
Okay.
So yeah, it's there. That's we'll be doing some stuff. I'm not quite sure how we're going to talk about it next week. Sunwarper and I will have a conversation about it. But yeah, there's lots of Sonics there, so go and enjoy if you like that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And just speaking of the Patreon, you also get the early access we discussed to any release on Audionautics Records, but you also get an exclusive Discord channel where we talk about all kinds of stuff. And then you also get to join. We have a special podcast for our patrons once a month. We hang out, Starstream. And yeah, I know we talked about it last week a little bit in the where we were live, but we're also mapping out that new radio show. So we'll be figuring it. This has nothing to do exactly with the patrons, but we're figuring out all of that. So that's upcoming. So if you do have music that you want to get on radio and stuff, it's something that we really miss because we were doing that radio for a while and it was a lot of fun, but we have to figure out how to navigate that like copyright stuff that we were dealing with. So I think we've got a good way to do it now by submitting on the Discord and things like that, and explicitly stating like, hey, we can't do the copyright stuff, and it'll be pure submissions, not like tracks that things like that. But I really miss having the radio, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Looking forward to returning the music side. We've got the show, we've got the label. We have been missing like just the platform of just pure music, and it's nice to kind of bring that back through.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like when we do those server challenges and listen and hang out and just talk music, because we'll do it in a similar fashion where we're going to use StreamYard, so we'll be on screen, we'll be listening, and we'll be hanging out, and we'll have a chat, and we can share the chat, because we'll be live and all that, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, very much so. So it's going to be a good one. Anything else on that? I mean, we got Little Bro who's clamoring for some lore. Should we give it to him before we go, or should we bring it to the Discord?
If you've got it in your head, go for it. Otherwise, we are at an hour 12 and I'm about to fall over. We can carry on in the Discord. But if you've got it in your head, because I sure do not. I remember we took a while to figure out the name.
Yeah. We'll get the shortened version here, roundabouts. So, but yeah, we'll talk about it more in the Discord. So, Little Bro, put it in the Discord, put it in like off topic or something like that, and then we'll talk about it more extensively, or even in the ADSN channel, just somewhere. And we'll talk about it. But the short version of this story is you've got audio because we like music, and you've got the idea of a cosmonaut or an astronaut. And so everyone who's part of the audionautic community is an audionaut, hence why every role in the Discord is audionaut. We don't really tend to use everyone, we use audionauts. But essentially, yeah, it's a combination of the two. You've got a astronaut and you've got audio. You put them together because we are all explorers of space and sound in that regard. So that's the short version of that.
Nailed it, dude. Nailed it. And now that you say that, I remember that was what we were discussing. It was those two kind of merging them together. Yeah.
I thought it was something slightly different this whole time.
What did you think it was?
What?
I didn't think it was like astronaut. For some reason, I thought it was psychonaut.
Well, that was kind of Kh3rtis's angle, I think, as well.
Yeah. Well, a naut is kind of like a navigator of something, and you've got audio, right? So yeah, kind of like explorer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
Real quickly, let's talk about what we're up to this week, and then we'll head out. And chat, feel free to share what you're up to this week in the chat. Comment it if you're watching after. But let's start with our patron Lars. What you up to this week? Any more Goodwill finds?
No, I am packing for a trip. We're going to be gone for a whole week. So
yeah. So what gear are you packing?
I'm going to try and take my banjo with me. I feel like I'm going to Tennessee. I should take the banjo, right?
Yes.
You're sitting out there on the porch at the log cabin. Might make my wife a little uncomfortable, but I think she'll be fine.
That's all right. And Eonlake, what are you up to this week?
What am I up
Getting
to?
the Moog?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm sketching on the Yamaha Sec track.
You got that?
Yeah.
When did you get that?
I'd gloss over that a few weeks ago.
Well, yeah, we didn't hear anything about this. What's going on, man?
And I'm still LFOing LFOs on LFOs at the moment. I know Kh3rtis has picked up this habit off me as well, but yeah, I'm using them to switch things on and off, to change the speed of things, and then to change the rate that the speed changes on things, and all sorts of stuff. I'm just going wild and crazy as much as I can, and then when my laptop wants to explode, I'll bounce it down and start again with another sound.
And Curtis, what about you?
Again, keeping with the live stuff this week. I've got the wedding on Saturday, so a lot of like practicing bass and playing bass and sticking in the real world. We've discussed getting down and dirty with some of the songs that we made in Switzerland, so I'll probably do that over the weekend. And yeah, I now is the time for me to really start work on the follow up to Marooned. I mean, this is Intervoidal, which is part of like my releases and stuff like that, but it's not like canon. It doesn't tell the next chapter of the Kh3rtis story. Whereas it's like, you know, you've got Star Wars and you've got fan fiction kind of thing, you know. But there is a story, there is stuff happening. So it's time to. I've got all the sketches. I'm nearly there with all. I've just got to start getting into the production side of things. I'm doing that, so I'll probably have a tinker. Probably have a tinker, as they say.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
What about you, bro?
He's going to take
Rebuilding this. Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap right after if I can, but I do have to deal with a 10-month-old. But rebuild this and get that. I'm still debating. Well, I might record it for like my members on YouTube, building it back up, and then depending on how I feel, I'm hoping to do a live stream on Saturday and maybe just using the sample, the secret sample. But I don't know if that's okay. I don't know if I want to like reveal the sample. We'll have to talk about it, Curtis. But if not, either way, I'll probably throw it to a vote. I'm thinking either Digitact and just doing my favorite method with it, or good old Koala and SP, because I do love sample flipping. But yeah, that's about it. And then you talking about albums and stuff. I'm in like this existential crisis with releases right now. I don't know what I want to do and where I want to go. I feel weird.
When you bring it to the round robin.
Yeah, I feel weird kind of like working in Logic now, and then I feel weird just I don't know where I want to go with the next album. Like I wanted to do that vocal one and stuff like that, but I'm like I don't know. I'm just kind of like figuring out where I want to go. It might be a while before the next release, and that's why I want to do like the songs we did and the collab release and stuff like that. Cause kind of want to just like take. There's always going to be the YouTube videos, right? I'm always going to be making those and like the ebooks that I sell and stuff. So it's like there's things happening, but I'm like maybe I want to take my time and really just like enjoy making an album with no pressure of like I want to be in these genres. Just kind of like see what happens, like what we were doing when we made those 3 tracks on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah, last week. Yeah. I hear that. That's good that you're in that space. We've been discussing it for the last couple of weeks. Not having any pressure, not having any external kind of things to work for, so to speak, and just taking the flow. So that's good. It's very good that you're kind of. I mean, yes, like you say, that can be a bit existentialist in that regard, but it's nice that will yield something. That's a growing pain right there, which is nice.
Yeah, I'm just so sick of like the pressure. Like I don't want to do those monthly. I already have a pressure of like a weekly or every other weekly release schedule for YouTube and things like that. So it's like I want to just kind of like have it, but then I don't have the time. I haven't even been able to play keyboard in like 2 months because of like not. So it's like that's part of the playing into it. So yeah, maybe chat, let us know. But maybe that kind of thing, the pressure of like really, I don't know how we bill it, but maybe that's something to talk about it around Robin. Because I think there's a lot of pressure with these like monthly or weekly releases. Even I've been seeing people doing. It's like, are you serious? Like it really kind of takes away from the art and becomes a commodity at that point. And it's like I already have. I'm not saying like my YouTube is not a commodity, but like I already have this sort of like consistency. I want to have something that's like art for the sake of art. And I don't know.
I hear that. Well, bring it to a round robin in the next couple of weeks, and we'll discuss it for sure. So,
just want to quickly share. Much obliged. MX Drew says, "Get well soon, Sunwarper. Get on that 100% pure orange juice with a drop of honey." Yeah, definitely. And I think Mike shared that he's working on the next album, Synergism, due out in August. Mixing, mastering, artwork, the whole 9 yards. Wow, in August, man, that's crunch time. If you're getting that all done right now, man.
Getting that done.
I feel for you. That's quite the crunch. I've got some masters to do for the record label, and yeah, so that'll be fun. But let's see what else we got. Smiling Air says finishing a song for a low budget, no budget indie game. Very cool. Hopefully working on the secret sample as well. That's also what I have to. I have to get that done. I meant to do it on Logic for iPad, and nope.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Mike says I'm so deep in album production, I don't have much energy for play or R&D music making. I hear you. Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
I'm with you. I mean, I'm not working on an album right now, but it's like between, like, I need to make the videos and stuff, and then I've got to be a dad. So it's like there's very little. The one good thing is he loves sitting on my lap and playing the keyboard. So I'll like play stuff, but then he just bangs it. So it's not exactly practice, but it's the closest I get to getting there. So yeah,
that's collaboration right there.
Yeah, we're collabing for sure. Yeah, he loves it. He really likes the SP as well. I put the drums and he just goes monk monk. It's really funny.
Nice.
Yeah, and little bro is working on secret sample as well. But yeah, anything else before we go, Curtis?
No, just thank you ever so much for people who are still here after an hour and 21 minutes and counting. It's lovely. Thank you so much. Took a couple of weeks away. It's nice to see what everyone's up to and where it's at. All about this community. So thank you ever so much once again. Hope you've enjoyed the show.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, 11 a.m. Pacific, and I think it's 7 p.m. UTC, but Curtis has been saying there's some time thing, so I don't know. But just search 11 a.m. Pacific to your respective time zones, and we'll get there. I'm just going to quickly, I saw something. So, yeah, awesome to have you all with us. Great to see you, and I appreciate everybody hopping in the chat and helping out, and especially Lars for coming and staying on the show, because it's a tough one for me. So I am very thankful to have all of you with us. Well, thanks, Lars. Yeah, I'm trying, but yeah, I'm about to like fall over. The only thing keeping me up is like Advil, Tylenol, and liquid IV. So I'm gonna go take a nap now, but we'll be back next week, and we'll see you then.